Another issue that I know you're very urged to get something done on are the student loan interest rates.
Yes.
They're going to double this week unless Congress acts. It looks like Congress is not going to act in time, but obviously you could do something retroactively.
Yes.
What are the chances of that? It sounds like that legislation is there, but it can't get off the ground.
Yeah, it's been very frustrating because we can ill afford to have student loan interest rates double. Students are already emerging with loads of debt right now that are really, really difficult. You know, I think about the fact that a higher education is supposed to be a middle class, a path into prosperity. And for more and more students, it's becoming a path into indebtedness and deferred dreams like buying your first car or buying your first house because they're strapped with crippling student loans these days. So I believe we must act not only on this interest rate issue, but really take a bigger look at what it costs to get through college today. That said, when we return to the session in the Senate, we have a vote scheduled for July 10th. It would freeze the rates at 3.4% for another year. It would pay for it by closing a tax loophole that I think is long overdue to be closed.
And that's the big sticking point, right? I mean, Republicans aren't budging on that tax loophole, correct?
Well, right. I mean, first of all, we need to be fiscally responsible in these days and pay for things that cost money. And so we've brought forward legislation that closes tax loopholes in order to pay for the lower interest rates. And that has been what many have expressed on the Republican side as their opposition to this legislation. But the bottom line is that this is a critical issue. It is not just an interest rate issue. It is about access to middle-class status in America, and it's one of the things that's making it harder for people to get ahead, and we need to do something about it.
And there's an economic impact here, right? Because
Huge.
If these students, they're already paying a lot for student loans. If those interest rates double and they're paying even more or paying longer, it really impacts their buying power well into their 30s, maybe even 40s.
You know, as we've seen in the state of Wisconsin, you know, with Act 10 and public employees having less money in their pocket, it hits Main Street. You don't go out to eat. You defer other expenses, replacing appliances. There's a ripple effect through the whole economy. And we have 163,000 students who will be impacted by this interest rate increase. It'll mean less money in their pockets and less money, you know, disposable discretionary income